And I'll be reading from my chapter 23, Calming the Intermental Storm, How to Become Your Best Friend. So, the greatest gift you have to give is that of your own transformation. Lao Tzu. So, my story. My relationship with myself started off rocky at a very young age. Trust, safety, and my voice were taken when I was just 4 years old. I hadn't developed a sense of who I was, but I certainly developed a sense of who I needed to be to survive. I learned early on that I needed to be compliant, agreeable, and quiet. It was a typical elementary school day. You could hear the voices of children as they moved about the hall, heading to their next class, and as I started to head out of my classroom to join the bustling hallway, I heard Miss Collins call out, "Nicole, I have something I want you to do." What did I do wrong? I tried to recall how the class went. Did I say something wrong? What could she be calling me for? I turned around and started walking towards her, avoiding eye contact. I wasn't afraid of her. Miss Collins was one of my favorite teachers. I always called her teenager because I loved seeing how it lit up her eyes and smile. However, the constant fear of doing something wrong had taken hold. I stood there waiting for her to correct me about something. Miss Collins: "Nicole, I want you to write down something nice about yourself every day." Me: "For what? None of it would be true anyway." If she said anything else after that, I don't remember it. That was my first exposure to the power of our words and the importance of our relationship with ourselves. Unfortunately, I wasn't in a place mentally or emotionally to recognize that loving gesture. I was in elementary school and already hated myself. Her kind words rolled right off me, and I continued on the abusive road from which she tried to pull me. There were two roads for me. One I lived on, which is the hidden road, and the one I existed on, which is the compliance road. Keep quiet. Yep, that's the hidden road. My eyes are open, yet I'm in complete darkness. I hear conversations, or are those my thoughts? You're stupid. You look like a boy. No one notices you. You're worthless. Don't try too hard. You don't want to fail again. What makes you think you could? Oh, those are my thoughts. I drifted back to the hidden road again. I kept this road a secret because I was afraid that telling someone would result in my feelings being downplayed, as always. After all, I was always so sensitive. I was determined not to ever feel those feelings again, at least not in public. Embarrassment, shame, isolation, and loneliness were common for me, even among family, but I did everything that I could to hide it. You're so needy. You don't think. You're so emotional. Crybaby. I drifted here at all hours of the day and night. My sadness and disdain for myself were normal to me, though. I wonder what that feels like. I saw happy people and was both jealous and curious. "You're such a sweetie, Dee," my grandma used to say. Behind the smile, "You wouldn't know that if you knew me. You wouldn't say that if you knew me." In public, I traversed the compliance road. It's the one where quiet, well-mannered, soft-spoken, and obedient Nicole showed up. No opinions, go with the flow. Having a different idea or thought may get me yelled at, which translates to disapproval, unlovable, having done something wrong. I was too fragile for that. I couldn't risk having to cry or seem upset. I had to make sure I controlled my environment, so I ensured to keep the unlovable hidden. The smile did the trick. There was always a smile, or at least no signs of distress. If there were, people ignored them. I wish I were never born. I bet I was adopted. There's no way I'm a part of this family. They wouldn't even notice or care if I was gone. I carried my first attacker's burden for more than 20 years, which created a magnet for more like him to show up throughout my life. That burden caused a perpetual abusive relationship with myself. The words of disapproval didn't flow as much as I got older. I didn't have to say them anymore, since I successfully drilled them into my head so early in life. Now, I just embodied them. My external language, even when trying to be positive, all had a negative self-hatred undertone. My life started to turn around after reading my first personal development book in my 20s. I had a new outlook. I had hope. What I didn't have, and kept me on life's treadmill, was a solid relationship with myself. The funny thing is, if funny is the right word, I hadn't realized my sense of self hadn't improved. I felt better about the direction of my life, but the quiet moments revealed otherwise. Thank you, Maggie, Debbie, and Sharon. I appreciate that. And I often retreated onto the hidden road. It seems like you can never be happy. My mom said that to me one day. I am happy, I replied with a half-hearted smile. I wasn't happy. I was deeply depressed. The abuse was deep in my bones. The sadness, depression, and pessimism flowed through my veins and were part of every fiber of my being. I had no idea how to rid myself of those toxins. Yet if you asked anyone what they thought of me, I was a sweet young lady. You never know what's going on in someone's mind. Thank you. What's wrong with me? Why can't I be happy? I continued to read one personal development book after another, searching for ways to fix me. I bought course after course that touted some sort of betterment. My debt started to grow due to that addiction. I loved learning, but was I learning or hiding? The debt kept me stuck, the courses were incomplete, the books, while read, were not put into action. It was as if I was at a pep rally, getting hyped and motivated with a short-lived feeling of accomplishment at the end. The accomplishment was that I finished the book, and that's where it ended. But I didn't see that. And a few short hours after reading a great book, the nothingness and stagnation returned, and the craving for those feelings came back. I bought another book, registered for another course. What am I doing? There has to be more to life than this. I'm tired of being here, tired of being sad for no reason, tired of being depressed. How is it that people are happy and I'm not? Outside looking in, I should be happy. I have a steady job, a roof over my head, food to eat. There was so much guilt. I got married when I was 23 years old. He was a friend and a nice guy. I married him because people said, he's a good guy, and I should marry him. He is a good guy, and we're still friends, but no longer married. The recurring theme in my life is happiness creeps in, and I find a way to push it out. Thank you, Debbie. My friendship with myself didn't start to flourish until I met a coworker who pointed my words out to me. I hadn't realized that despite trying to improve myself, my words kept throwing me back down. My mindset and perspective were constantly in the mode of lack, victimhood, self-dislike, and any other word you can think of that makes growing and flourishing nearly impossible. He woke me up. The darkness started fading away, and I formed an ear for all that I read in those books. If I had met him years earlier, though, I wouldn't have heard his words. It's funny how life has a way of making things happen. As the sun started to shine brighter in my life, I realized that the most important relationship you can have is the one with your mind. What you feed it, what you say, what you think truly matters. The more I became aware of and changed my thoughts and words, the more the hidden road turned to dust and blew away. Don't get me wrong, it still appears from time to time. It is faint, I recognize it right away, and instead of fear, frustration, and hate, I embrace the awareness because I know what to do to work through it. I wanted to find a way to teach people how to hear themselves and to become their best friend. Today, I validate myself. I can genuinely celebrate others' success and lift others when they fall. I am enough, and so are you. You just have to see it for yourself. Are you ready to see the amazing person someone else already sees and has been trying to tell you is there? If so, let me introduce you to the Nicki Method of befriending the beautiful soul within. The tool. Nature doesn't hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Lao Tzu. It is so empowering to truly see and hear yourself with love, compassion, and grace. And if you're reading this right now, that may sound like a fairy tale in a far-off land, but let me assure you, you can make this happen. And while the Nicki Method is not something that will happen overnight, if you're intentional, it will happen. Warning, it usually sneaks up on you. Huh? Sneak up? Yep. When you were younger, do you recall a relative or friend of the family commenting on how much you've grown since they last saw you? Did you feel like you grew? Nope, you were just doing what you do and it happened. That's how this will work, with one exception. This time, you're going to be intentional with your thoughts and actions because you will set the intention of becoming your best friend. Before we dive in, I want to offer a companion journal that is linked in my profile on my Wellness Universe page. The link is in the description. You can grab that, or you can just grab a sheet of paper and follow along. So, let's get to it, shall we? The steps in the Nicki Method are what I use to ensure I continue to cultivate a healthy relationship with myself. It stands for notice, introspection, knowledge, kindness, improvement. This method is quite adaptable to many areas, but I'll focus on the internal relationship for now. Step 1. Set your intention for the type of relationship you want to create with yourself. Remember how I used to read books and never did anything with the knowledge shared? I don't want you to make the same mistake. Change happens when you put in the work, and to maximize, you have to know what you want as a result. So, as an example, my first intention was to have more self-confidence, and I had not yet realized that confidence came from knowing and believing in yourself. Go figure. To help get your brain moving, here are some journal prompts to consider. Make sure you don't overthink your answer. Go with what first comes to mind and see where it leads. You can always work through these again. First question, what do you feel is most hindering to your quality of life at this moment? If you could change one thing about your relationship with yourself overnight, what would it be? What quality do you like about yourself that you'd like to further enhance or cultivate? And what part of you do you secretly like that you've been hiding from yourself? So after you've answered those questions or questions you've come up with for yourself, go ahead and move to step 2, which is breaking down Nicki. So step 2, employ the Nicki method of compassionate transformation. Become your best friend. Morning, Gina. Thank you, Anna. Notice. Become aware of your thoughts. The words you use to describe yourself in your head and out loud to someone else create your reality. How would you talk to yourself? How do you talk about yourself? Thank you, Sharon. As I shared above, I called myself stupid all the time in my mind. I called myself slow and ugly, and because I continued to feed that to my subconscious mind, I consistently perpetuated scenarios to prove myself, my words and my thoughts, right. As you start to become aware of your thoughts and words, use these journal prompts to increase the awareness. Do the thoughts carry me towards or away from the tension I set for myself? How do I feel in my body when I say or think certain things about myself? Notice any tension in your chest, jaw, shoulders, etc. And bonus points, when you reframe what you said or catch a runaway thought before you complete it. So the key to that is to become keenly aware of your thoughts, words that drain and deplete your energy, then counter them with kindness without judgment. Introspection. Examining your own mental and emotional process, you'll notice you've already started doing this when you responded to the journal prompts under notice. To go deeper, examine times when you get angry with yourself or start a downward emotional spiral. Instead of judging those feelings, understand them. Allow them. So journal prompts. Will it be helpful for me to dig further into how I'm feeling right now? And this question is to help discern when it's best to explore and when it's best to accept and move on. If yes, then the second question is a good place to start. What am I feeling right now? There's a feelings wheel that is also in that complimentary journal. The key here is gather knowledge about your emotional state without judgment. Do not allow yourself to stay down too long. And you have more control than you think. You're stronger than you allow yourself to give you credit for. Not after this, though. Ooh, I'm glad you caught that, Gina. I hope you reframed it. Thank you, Debbie. The first K is knowledge. Gather knowledge from introspective work as well as other sources. The knowledge about the way you respond to situations is giving you an invaluable skill of self-awareness. That skill empowers you to be in control rather than allowing your mind to control you. You will also use other sources to gather knowledge. For instance, as simple as this sounds, I stopped calling myself stupid when I looked up the actual definition of intelligence. As you explore, you'll likely use other sources to help get a better understanding of things. I'm glad you did, Gina. Thank you, Sharon. Journal prompts. I notice I get sad when, so, and in parentheses, some examples. When someone else seems genuinely happy, someone else seems to be doing well, someone else appears to have it all together, or I realize I should feel fine. Change the word sad to any emotion you need at the time of your knowledge gathering. So sad, depressed, angry, whatever you need. And number 2, when I feel myself slipping into depleting emotions, I will blank to bring myself back up. Or I will allow said emotion to process through me with loving kindness and acceptance. So it depends on where you are and what you're capable of doing at the time. The key is don't judge what you've learned. Be kind and give yourself lots of grace. You didn't know then what you know now. So every day you're choosing to be your best self. Celebrate that. The next K is kindness. How you treat yourself during the process matters. You're teaching your mind and brain how you want to be treated and how you want to feel. If you treated your friends the way you treat yourself in your mind, how long do you think you will have them as friends? It's no different, except you're not able to escape yourself. That's just rude. Kidding. Not kidding. Journal prompts. Am I treating myself as I would a very dear friend? How can I be kind to myself today? The key here is notice how you're speaking to and about yourself. Become aware of how you speak about your possessions and life in general. It's a form of personal judgment. See how sneaky being mean can be? And the last I stands for improvement. You've put in so much work. And one thing I know is you can't unlearn what you learn. Doing so is a choice. So the journal prompt here is something you can do daily. Do this daily and celebrate as many improvements as you can. One improvement I love to point out to people is simply becoming aware of their behavior change or having stopped a thought that wasn't going to be very kind. I am celebrating the fact that I've improved in blank. The key here is you are worth the work. You have a gift that needs to shine. You are a light in this world. You'll dim it no longer. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. Lao Tzu. Embrace the tears that will stream once you finally hear and see yourself the way others see you. You'll feel the shift. You'll realize how powerful you truly are. You'll want to be your friend. When you sit in that place, that's when you shine. Dear Goddess, the world needs your shine. Let it be. And that is my chapter. Read for the second time. So thank you so much for those who tuned in and shared in the chat, and I hope it proves to be a great tool for you all, and thank you so much. Ciao, have a great rest of your Saturday.